I definitely will say part of what I was hearing, and that makes me want to rewatch the Batman. That bass line in there is just like, now I got to rewatch it. Now I have to. It's been literally 3 seconds since I watched it last. Now I got to go watch it again. But welcome everybody to an all new episode of Galactic Review. This will be our last one till August when Andor comes out. So we got a bit of a break on the Star Wars side. But we will be breaking down the series finale of Kenobi. I'm very excited to dig into this with some of the galaxy's greatest minds, starting off with Didge. What's up, Darth Didge?
What's up, guys? I'm excited to get into this. Sad day. I wish there were more, but they left us with a good ending, so.
They left us with an ending. Trayvon, what's going on, Trayvon?
I'm happy to be here to talk about this show. Glad it's over. Now Miss Marvel can get the shine that she deserves. And yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much where I'm at. Let's talk about this. Glad it's over.
Trayvon, I feel like I have deja vu because I predicted almost every last word you said just now. Like, nothing about what you said was just like, what? I was just like, yeah, no, that's Trayvon.
Right on brand. Yeah.
It's right on brand. I love it. What did we just talk about? Consistency. I love it. Blake, what's going on, Blake?
Nothing much. It's been a good day. I've lost most of this day. It's been going by so fast. So I'm excited to finally sit down and talk about such an incredible episode that we got last night.
We definitely got an episode. And I do want to apologize to Blake because I did forget to bring Blake on for Miss Marvel.
It's okay. You just didn't want me to talk.
No, the whole thing was Tristan had messaged me and he's like, whoa, hold on. Like, I want to talk Miss Marvel. So, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, remember Tristan. And then when I remember Tristan, just by default, my brain is just like, well, you'll forget someone else.
I hate when that happens.
Just forget someone else. To know me is to know that I will forget somebody. All right, let's jump into it. See, I forgot Joel. Joel, what's going on, Joel?
Force Ghost, Juwan.
I am a Force Ghost, so watch your mouth. We still have powers in the Force, so watch your mouth. I want to kind of come off like Zordon. That's kind of what I like about this one.
You gotta put your hands out of the way then. Just use your face.
Oh, sorry, you're right. But all right, before you kick it off, Joel, shout out to listener Jim. I've watched Kenobi 3 times today. I wish the final fight would have been a little bit better, but the emotional dialogue between the two was very touching and fierce all in one. All right, so I'm not gonna respond to this. I'm gonna pass it immediately to you, Joel. You can respond to this or just go right into your thoughts on the episode.
I'm gonna respond. I guess a little better. I'm not sure what else you wanted. You want him to fly? It's the only thing I guess gonna make it better, right? Trayvon, am I right, baby? Aside from that, I thought the fight was actually the best part. But I would say it was an emotional episode, especially if you're attached to these characters and the story so far. I thought it was very, and in that regard, I had a lot of moments throughout this episode. I choked up a little bit. I was like, all right. And they hit some soft spots on me. I'm like, all right, that moment. I mean, there's so many. Like, the fight was really cool. I do believe it capped off this episode tremendously well. I mean the series, not the episode. Considering 1 through 6, I figured the last 2 episodes have been the best of all 6. And especially this episode, I just love to see the journey from seeing Obi-Wan being where he was to where he ended up being, and facing off against Vader and being able to hold his own to the nth degree at the end there, which I really appreciated, especially after pretty much getting that ass whooped for like earlier in this series. So I really appreciated that. I really appreciated a lot of the callbacks to like stuff. We're gonna like his suit, the way he was wearing his his clothes, and the Reva stuff. I didn't hate it, but it was a little weird. The way that her whole journey was kind of up and down for me, but I didn't mind how it ended with her though. Like I did actually appreciated that she chose not to kill Luke, obviously, or else we knew she wasn't going to. But at the end of the day, I like that he didn't stop her; she stopped herself. That's kind of what I figured was going to happen anyway. So I actually appreciated that. I did like to see the Owen and them taking care of themselves, even though they obviously stood no chance. But I did appreciate them trying. That was really cool.
They're badass.
It was a good effort. I can't complain. And actually, and it just really comes down to the battle between Obi and Darth. And I love that whole thing. That whole thing was so fucking cool. So I'll let you all keep going because I could just keep talking about the fight. It's just gonna keep coming back. The rock fight, that shit was dope, bro. Let's just keep coming back.
The episode was okay, lots of issues, but it's quite enjoyable. Vader was still stiff.
Vader is a stiff person, bro.
It's nice to know that you're better off surviving being shot by a stormtrooper than being stabbed in the chest by Vader. Now, I want to speak to that because that is something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So the Jedi, selective Jedi are able to force heal, right? And the Sith do not have that ability. Instead, what the Sith can do is they can siphon off your life force to kind of essentially heal themselves. So they're stealing from you to heal themselves. Now, it is well known that the Sith, as we've seen from Darth Maul, they have the ability that the angrier you get, the more hatred you tap into, the stronger your will becomes, right? So we saw Darth Maul completely get chopped in half, and his whole life mission was to kill Kenobi. It sustained him enough to gain robotic legs, and then sustain the second half of his life.
Half mole, half spider.
Right. So Reva not dying immediately by Vader stabbing her, I understand. My deeper issue is it makes sense as an adult, but you're never going to make sense of how he stabbed a child right through, and she was able to survive that. That was my issue. Not Reva as an adult, as a child. That was more so my issue. So
maybe it also depends. I don't want to get technical, but maybe it also depends where they're being stabbed.
Well, I can almost guarantee that a child with very small organs, you shove a lightsaber through their body, they should pretty much die. Quite
That's
like the rest of the children did.
No, I'm talking about Reva, like how she survived. Like, but at the same time, it's like it's Star Wars because like even people were like who haven't like watched Rebels and stuff like that don't even know that like Darth Maul survived and everything, and because like when you show up in Solo, people are like, "What? You saw him get stabbed?" And you were like, "Nah, he's been back."
No. Well, Joe, you're speaking to my point. I'm saying it did make sense, her surviving as a youngling, but her as an adult makes all the sense in the world. She just tapped into all her hatred and her anger, and it just helped sustain her. It was slowly killing her. We saw that. She was sweating a shit ton.
How the Grand Inquisitor survived, too, when he got stabbed.
Yeah,
well, he also has two stomachs. He also has two stomachs.
But he also
Wait, he also has what?
Two stomachs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has two stomachs. That's why he survived.
Whatever.
But again, it was also his statement. I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was basically about how much revenge does wonders to make you want to survive.
Right, exactly. The tropes of
revenge will do wonders for you.
And not finishing them off grew tiresome throughout the series.
That's Star Wars, though, bro.
It's Star Wars.
To be fair, it only bothered me because that's not something Vader would do. Vader very much would 100% make sure you were dead. That was where most of his joy came from, is killing you. Not possibly killing you, legit just killing you. But again, it is a Star Wars trope. It's gonna happen. They're tropey. That's what Star Wars has always been. It's very tropey. Yeah. In the comics, it's tropey. Movies, animation is just tropey.
Even in the games, you'll think you killed somebody, and in the cutscene to show that they had that little last.
Here's how you know Star Wars in the games is probably the most tropey. I have to stab a stormtrooper more than once with a lightsaber.
Also,
them motherfuckers have no lightsaber. No, but I'm saying that's tropey. I'm not saying it's necessarily a negative, but that is the king of trope. When it comes
that's
to Star Wars.
also true.
It's like,
Super
I'll stab
armor.
it.
Super
I'll stab
armor.
I'll stab a stormtrooper and then turn around and I'm like, how are you still alive? Like,
I
I'll
wouldn't say
never-
tiresome, but like it's predictable.
sure. Yeah,
It
I
is.
know.
Because like I don't know, like yes, it happens a lot, but it doesn't happen as often where it's like, oh god, this again. Because I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured that was gonna happen.
I will say though,
It's dope.
it does bother me. Not bother me, but it is a little funny that Uncle Owen, right, put up such a good fight, honestly, with somebody that's essentially half dead. But in 10 years from now, the motherfuckers that set that farm on fire were
I literally said
so
the same
big
thing to Blake
of
last night. I was like,
adversaries that he was just
so
like,
you know they're not
I can't
gonna die
handle
because they
this.
literally get. I was like, it's
Yo.
good to know that you know
They're
they
much
didn't
older
just
than
like
too.
they actually put up a fight
Only
protecting
10,
Luke.
Joel.
Yeah, he was already limping this time. So imagine in 9
Only
years.
10.
Yeah, because
fair.
like the way the
fair.
original trilogy, it's like they're just innocently getting burned for nothing, and I was like,
Maybe they got the jump on him. Maybe the fire and everything started.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, we know Uncle Owen be talking some shit. So maybe he was talking shit.
Right, and it's like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
talking
he
shit.
literally talked shit to Kenobi, so like you know for a fact he was definitely saying shit to like
He
everybody.
said shit to
didn't
the wrong
care.
person. Went home thinking everything was cool.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it was not.
I can
Well,
see,
his shit talking finally caught up with him, and he's like, "Oh shit."
I can see how a lot of that planet maybe doesn't like him. I can see that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Palpatine cameo? So I'm gonna let everyone, when I go to them individually, talk more about that. Joel, I'll kick it back to you really quickly. Did you want to speak on the cameo of Palpatine?
I thought it was cool. I wasn't expecting it, especially that detailed. I was like, okay, they went in. I was like, all right, nice. I liked it. Very cool. It was nice to see. Very nostalgic. Yeah, and I'm a sucker for fucking nostalgia. I'm a sucker. So it was really nice to see him again. And so I'll never say no to a Pops cameo, especially like that. Pretty dope.
And he looks great, by the way. Can we give
Yeah.
him a round of applause with how
He
great
likes
he
to
looks?
that
He
Star
looks
Wars
really good.
celebration, though.
He looks really
Absolutely.
good.
He looks great.
He likes that Star Wars celebration.
He did.
All Disney employees are liars.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
for
I
sure.
just said. I
100%.
literally keep
For
saying that to
sure.
Blake. I was like, of course they're gonna fucking lie. 'Cause, like,
That's all they
that
do.
night. No, I think it was that night. Like as. Ooh, sorry. Shit. Oh. Sorry, my phone dropped. Hold on. Hold on.
It's all good.
You're good.
Okay, there we go. That like I think Liam Neeson was on like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, and he was like, and they're like, oh, are you gonna be part of like Kenobi? He's like, oh, I heard about it, and then it was like that same night it was like, all right, we know you're a liar.
Well, I mean, he doubled down on it recently. He said he has no interest in doing animation. I'm sorry, he has no interest in doing shows. He only wants to do movies.
I know, I can see
And this
that.
motherfucker
Liam-
doing two shows back to back.
I
He's
don't wanna
doing
do
two
shows,
shows back to
Neeson.
back. But no, I mean, shit. We just saw Elizabeth Olsen say like, "Hey, I don't know when I'll be back, but like, if they ever wanted me back, I'll do it." And the very a week later, she might be in Wonder Man. Like, they lie all the time. It's just it's what happens over there.
It's freaking
The
crazy.
Palpatine cameo to me was more special, not because I saw him, but because of how they handled him. And what I mean
Yes.
by that is, one of Palpatine's strengths is that he could read minds. So he could detect that Vader was lying, right? That Vader still did have somewhat of admiration for his old master.
Or like,
And
yeah,
Palpatine
some
was
type
just
of
like,
feelings or
He's obsessed.
thoughts.
right. He
to
was
him.
just like, hey, like, do you need something? You cool? Like, do I need to kill
Yeah.
you, get somebody else? You all right? Okay.
That's basically what he
Sure.
said.
I don't want to make jokes, but like,
Do
so
I
many
gotta
people are
rehire?
like, imagine him having to tell Palpatine, like, show up with like half broken helmet. He's like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it."
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Palpatine's like, no,
I saw
don't
a
even worry
post
about it. I
that
saw
killed
it.
me, and it was like the shot of like the two of them standing together, and he's like, "All right, ready to fight." And he's like, "Never mind, I just got my ass beat. I don't want to talk about it." And I was like, "Shit." It's so funny.
Darth Vader, I will not stop until I kill Obi-Wan/Palpatine. Jesus, it's been 10 years, you stiff, sensitive twit. Let it go already. We have an entire...
I mean, listen.
He's
I
not
don't
wrong.
Really,
Not
no,
He's
wrong.
not
that
wrong.
comic doesn't make sense because he's literally half like robotic man.
No. So
Well,
he's more making a joke there, but essentially...
No,
he's-
just everybody keeps saying it that he looks like stiff and weird. And I'm like,
He's
you
always
do know
been
he's a robotic man, right?
Well, also,
Mhm.
people need to understand one of Vader's biggest flaws is his opposite hand. In the comics, they speak on how
Yeah.
it's not fully calibrated.
Yep.
So like it kind of twitches on its own. So
No,
like
I
he doesn't
remember
have
that,
full
yeah.
control of that said hand. So picture that, but everywhere in his body. right?
So that's
it's
what I'm saying.
essentially
Like I know that stuff, so
it's
like that's
hard.
me. When I see that, I'm like it doesn't bother me because it's like he's
it's hard for him.
he's pretty much half his limbs, pretty much all of his limbs are
Fucking
robotic.
cyborg and shit.
Yeah.
He's
But
in a suit like that, and that also a reason that they mentioned in the comics. So it's like, okay, that makes sense.
To Mr. E's point, Palpatine did not seem interested or bothered that Kenobi was still alive.
Not
He
at
very
all.
much was just like,
That's
we
that
got
was
a
little
job
weird.
to do. Like, I don't care. Let him be alive. He ain't gonna go,
He ain't
go
stopping
public.
me.
That was
Yeah, he's
one
like
of
he's
the
not gonna go
questions.
public.
I was like, why would he not care that Kenobi's alive?
Palpatine is just
It
like
never
I
seemed
got
like
shit to do.
Palpatine cared though.
Palpatine is very
He
much
never worried
remember,
about Obi-Wan.
But time out. Here's the thing.
He won already,
why,
I guess.
No,
He
but
did.
here's why him not caring about Obi-Wan makes all the sense in the world. Do we forget that Palpatine watched Yoda escape? He knew he didn't kill Yoda. He knew no one killed Yoda. Yoda just escaped. He
That's
didn't
what I'm
give a
saying. Like,
shit.
he won.
Yeah,
He
just
destroyed
escaped.
the Jedi. He did.
Palpatine said, I don't care. Because here's the thing.
stupid.
At the end of the day, they're not going to make themselves public. So as long as they're just hiding in their little corners, doing nothing with themselves, Palpatine doesn't give a shit. When are you going to stop? Like, I'm too powerful already. You can't do anything. Move on with life. Vader.
Yeah, it's true.
But all right. So for me, the fight between Vader and Kenobi, I'm glad they got right to it. I'm also glad that the Grand Inquisitor was just like, you know what, Vader, you got shit to work out. I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
He looks so tired of
He's
Vader
like,
shit.
okay.
You handle that. Yeah.
Like at first he was like, "Are you sure you should be doing this?" And he's like, "I got stuff to take care of." He's like, "Okay then, you do."
I will say though, one really cool thing that Chow did, and I don't even think she did it on purpose. Vader did slightly look over at the Grand Inquisitor when he asked that, like, "Are you fucking talking to me? Who are you talking to?" Like,
he's like, "I don't know who the fuck you're talking to. But that's not me."
Yeah, it's like because as soon as Vader was just like, "Set a course, I'm going after Kenobi," the Grand Inquisitor was just like, "All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. All right, I'm gonna let him do what he's gonna do." But no, I'm glad they got right to it. I'm glad that that Kenobi did have that moment. I did like that we did get his infamous pose. That is the iconic pose. And
Hey, you're not even mentioning the line.
That's at the end.
Yeah, that's at the end. I'm starting
No,
at the beginning.
he has more than one iconic line.
No, I know. I thought you meant the most iconic.
No.
But he did have the iconic
I
line.
will do what I must.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh
no,
man, and I know.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I can't. I know, like it was supposed to be on Mustafar, but I'm okay with it not being. I guess in a way.
I didn't necessarily mind. I saw it on Mustafar before. You didn't need to go back there.
That's what I'm
if you
saying. Like,
did,
I'm like,
it
I don't
would've
really
been
care
cool.
either way, because like, it would just been cool because it would have been like rematch from like Revenge of the Sith, like really like
And
shadowing it.
And
don't
I
need
don't
that.
know. I don't know how comfortable I am with Kenobi whooping Vader's ass like on his doorstep. I don't know if I'm comfortable.
Yeah, right in front of his castle.
Like,
Yeah, no way.
I don't know.
He's like, you
To
live
me-
here
Never
now?
leave his castle again.
Yeah, because to me, there's no way Vader goes back in there to those droids and
I
those
gotta
droids
move.
respect him.
Yeah, he
those
would literally like
droids
after that
definitely
he'd be
look
like,
at
I
him
gotta move my castle somewhere else.
Yeah, like the first time Vader yells at the droids, I'm like, keep it up. I'll fucking call Kenobi. Fucking come whoop your ass, Vader. I saw it. I watched it. But no. So I mean, there were three iconic lines. They did do a twist on when Kenobi did say that line of "I'll do what I must."
You will die.
You will die. Like the line in Revenge of the Sith is "You will try."
Because Anakin didn't want to originally kill him, but now he's like, I don't give a shit about you.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, you'll die. But he did say there, "You'll try." And they
Somebody
flipped it
noticed
to
one of the
"You'll
best
die."
things about that was like Anakin finally has the high ground.
He did, and I thought he was gonna make a
Legit.
joke about it. I
I
thought he
really
was gonna
thought
make
he was
a
gonna
joke
say
about
it
it.
too. I was like,
That
would've
no,
been-
Master, I have the
loved
high
it.
ground, and I would have cried. I would have
I
been like, oh
would've
my
loved it.
god.
But part of me is glad he didn't say it because this will have been the second time that line is used, and the ending is the same. Vader loses, so I'm kind of glad he didn't
Yeah.
rub it in his face. Like he was just, I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah. that's true. Now
Kenobi-
I don't know. I feel like if it would have happened, it should have happened when they first fought on Tatooine somehow.
High ground.
Because he technically won that fight. You know what I mean? It's like what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to say that line. I'm just saying, like, if it was said, it would have fit better there because like Vader did win that.
Right. He's a shadow of his former self. Any moves he could do as Anakin, he can barely do as Vader, which makes him more tragic, in my opinion. So, what this episode was trying to convey to people who aren't that familiar with Vader is when he said the line to Kenobi, and I did tear up during that scene. Hayden again. People have shit on this man so much back in the day. This man is so fucking gifted.
I cannot believe people like see like now the more that like if I was like as like an adult back then, oh my god, I would have like fought so many people because like
I'm just glad social media didn't exist because I would have held every last person to their tweets.
Like it kind of like I love that like everyone's supporting him now, but it also bothers me because I'm like, where the fuck was this back then? Like he's still the same actor now. Like
I think people forget all that shit made George Lucas want to sell Lucasfilms.
But it also helps that a lot of the people who are doing the supporting now were kids back then.
Yeah.
So it's like
all of us were.
But that's the thing. So it's like,
well, no, it's not even that. It's also like the nostalgic from like older people too. They're like, oh, maybe I was wrong about him. It's like
happens all the time.
Yeah, it does.
It's like no, like he's always been great. You're all are just figuring that out.
The way he delivered it, and I by the way, the writing for this dialogue was A1 because I loved when he said. He was essentially telling Kenobi, "Hey, I don't blame you, dog. You didn't kill Anakin. I killed that motherfucker."
He literally was
I
like,
loved
"I'm not
it because
blaming you, but like this was my decision. Like I killed him," and I was like, "Oh."
I loved it because it goes to what I was telling you before, Joel. I don't ever associate Anakin and Vader as the same person because Vader doesn't associate Anakin as being him. He believes Vader is a whole nother person. So I loved it when he was essentially telling Kenobi, like, Anakin's not here, dog. Doesn't exist. He's gone. It's Vader now.
And it helps tell the story.
Like yes, but also like a broken helmet.
Yes. And by the way, Deborah did an amazing job.
Love that.
With the
Love
lighting,
that woman with all my heart.
The lighting was great.
With the lighting, because if you see,
the Sith eye.
When he first cuts the helmet, his eyes are blue.
Yep.
And you see the blue lightsaber cascading over his face, and then it slowly weans to Sith eyes, and then the red lightsaber cascading over his face.
I literally said that. I was like, imagine if like Obi-Wan and Vader fight, and like somehow his like mask breaks, just like in like Rebels with Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, they'll probably like not do that because it's like Rebels, but like the fact they did that and like they mirrored it so perfectly, or it's like the same extorted voice of like that's what I mean. It's like, yes, you know it's Vader, but it's also like you're hearing Anakin and Vader's voice.
And I love how they mixed it together.
Oh my god, that's what makes the scene even more better than it is.
That was cool.
That was perfect.
But I'm glad they added this in for Kenobi, showing the cutting half the mask, because it truly shows for everyone that kept saying like Ahsoka would have turned Anakin, right? If Kenobi handled it different, he could have turned Anakin. It showed you both of them failed because there was nothing anyone could have done in that moment to have stopped Anakin from becoming what he was destined to become. So it took the true chosen one to truly get through to Vader. And let's be honest, at that point, Vader was like 97. He didn't give a fuck about
He's like, I'm done being evil. I've been in it.
Fuck it. I've been evil forever. Let's go. Yeah, son, let's do this.
Good on him.
But no, I loved everything about it. About that scene with them, those two together, and then Kenobi just leaving. Fast forwarding here as I pass it to you, Blake. The only thing that really bothered me was I really do wish you kind of left Luke out of it, completely, like entirely. Just because you were navigating a lot, like Luke, you had to make sure Luke did not see Reva's lightsaber, because A New Hope introduces Luke to what a lightsaber is.
Well, like a lot
so
of
it's
things
like you had to navigate too much, and you just did, especially for a series that had nothing to do with Luke. Right?
No, yeah. Even
so I'm
if,
like, you essentially should have just not put him in.
Even when they're on the same ship, I was like, "There's no way." Like even when Obi-Wan too, I thought he was gonna like see Luke first, and I was like, Vader can't see him, can't even look at him, nothing, because he could somehow feel him, and like that can't happen.
If
like
Vader was around
making me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
If he was around any of his kids, he would have felt him.
Yeah, it
That's
made me
why I
very
thought
nervous.
it was
Oh no,
risky.
same thing with Leia too. I was like, this makes me really nervous.
Yeah. All right. So the last two things. I thought it was great for nostalgia purposes. Because of canon, I did not like seeing Qui-Gon. I get it. I get why they did it, but the canon legend states that Qui-Gon was never able to access his actual Force Ghost because he died before he was able to complete his trials. So without completing your trials, you could only be a voice, not a manifestation.
Yeah,
of
I
your
was
actual
expecting
stuff.
them to show him. I thought they would show.
No, I get why they did it, but I was kind of just like, because in the Vader, not the Vader comics, in the Kenobi and Anakin comics, I loved when Obi-Wan was finally able to get through to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon was telling him his thoughts on Anakin, on where they both failed on Anakin, where he sees Anakin now. It was just a really great moment between the two of them in the bar where Kenobi was fucking freaking out. And my last thing, I get it. I know I see it with Ash. I see it with AJ. I see it with a lot of people. This show did absolutely nothing to explain why we needed Reva. It did literally nothing for that character whatsoever. It essentially was just to waste my time. This show, if you take Reva out, it changes literally nothing about this entire series. Nothing. Because you could literally just replace it with anything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that Moses Ingram did a bad job at all. But they did a bad job making that character matter enough to be in that said series. You know? Because now I'm like, now I have to wait for a trailer. If she does get her own series, that trailer better blow me away. Because I have no vested interest in seeing anything further with her character. You know what I'm saying? I'd be happy if they told me she went off into the sunset and lived the rest of her life as a farmer. I don't give a fuck. But you did nothing for me to make me interested in this character going forward. And I feel as though that's a massive failure on the part of Deborah Chow and that crew. Especially because of the backlash she got when it started. I thought they would do a better job supporting it, and you didn't. But again, the show's called Kenobi, and we knew Vader was here, so to me, you just really did yourself no favors. I feel sorry for the actress, though. I agree. Reva's motivations are confusing anyways. Yes, they went back and forth for a lot of things that was just really confusing. Because to me, what she never really stopped to think about, and I get it, she was just so angry, so she didn't care. Clearly, Vader did not know he had kids. Or the kids would be with him, right? They would be the Inquisitors. You know what I'm saying? They'd be literally the face of the Inquisitors. So I'm like, I don't know. That to me was really weird, her even going there. All right, so Blake, I'm going to pass this question to you. Well, not question, but I'm going to pass this comment to you as you give me your thoughts. Reva knows too much to have been kept alive, in my opinion. Bothers me that Bail Organa knows as much as he does, too. I don't understand why the Bail Organa thing.
Bail Organa makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I don't know why that.
He was there.
To me, if I'm going to adopt a kid, I should know everything that comes with that kid. Like,
and if I remember correctly, wasn't he there in the final scene when
yes.
they were deciding where they're going?
Yeah. He helped Obi-Wan escape and everything.
I don't think Reva knows a lot, though. Does she? She doesn't know whose kids they are.
She knows Anakin.
Yes, she does. Why do you think she went there? Yeah. Why do you think she went there?
She just did it because it's something that Obi-Wan cared about. I figured that's why she went there.
No,
that
originally
message
she
was
did
stating...
to get to Kenobi, but then when she found the I want to say like the comm link or whatever about Bail contacting Obi-Wan, that's why she went after Luke.
Right.
But it didn't say these are Anakin's kids.
No,
like, it didn't say that.
No, it hinted at the fact that it was Vader's kids. It hinted at, because remember, it was distorted. It was distorted.
She did the math, basically.
Right. Yeah, Bail Organa was part of Joe. Bail Organa was part of that whole of Yoda, Kenobi, and Bail Organa. They were all.
I feel like everybody forgets that he was like very like a huge part of like.
He's a very big part of the rebellion in general.
My brother in Christ, he was in the delivery room.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, 100%. Again, he was a massive. He's a massive political figure. So like he knew Amidala. He was part of the Clone Wars. If you watch the Clone Wars series, he was in a lot of episodes in the Clone Wars series.
I mean, I just think
also that was a Illuminati-esque tell nobody outside of this room. This is
Right.
Anakin's
100%.
kids.
Right.
We're gonna divide them up, keep them safe. This is between us.
100%.
Yeah.
And to answer your
Got it.
question, to answer this question, as I pass it to you, Blake, why did Reva go after Luke anyway? She went after Luke because she thought if she killed Vader's son, she could strike Vader the way that Vader struck the ones that she cared about. So it was to give a devastating blow
Revenge.
that would have double-sided intentions. It would hurt Kenobi,
But she also
and it would
didn't
hurt
know
Vader.
that he doesn't know yet.
Right. But Blake, walk me through your thoughts on the question and then your thoughts on the episode.
As to why Reva went after Luke, it is like you said. I just, I don't know how I feel about them involving Luke in this story at all, and then giving that storyline to Reva is just, I don't know. I love what actually made up for that line, that arc, was her line to Kenobi saying, "Did I become just like him?" I like that. That's ultimately where her character ended up. Like, shit, my whole purpose was to kill this guy, and here I am being one of the big villains of this entire show. And I agree with what you said to me one-on-one, that I think a solo show for Reva would improve her character a lot and would probably give her a lot more depth. Because I did like her in this show, but they did to her what they did to Miss Marvel. They hurt Miss Marvel by playing it at the same time as Kenobi, and they hurt Reva by putting her next to Vader. Obviously, we're going to flock towards Vader, care more for him, and he's going to become the main antagonist of the show, even if that's not what they intended at first, which I'm sure they didn't by introducing Reva. And they really marketed her as the main villain, with Vader as the big bad in the background. Which,
Yeah, I'll push back on that only slightly, because I feel like if you replace her with the Grand Inquisitor, I would have cared more. But part of that is because I know about the Grand Inquisitor, right? I've gotten his whole backstory. I've gotten a whole fleshed out story.
You've had years to become a fan of that character.
Right. Rather than you telling me in the course of 6 episodes, here's a brand new character, brand new motivation. She knows everybody's secrets, and go. And it's like, all right, well, half of this should not exist. Of her knowing these things, her acting on these things. And then the idea of, because I thought back, Blake, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. So I thought back, so when the Grand Inquisitor was saying that he found her, right? She made it seem like it was always a plan of hers to rise through the ranks to get to Vader. But they found her, right? So it's like, okay.
I always imagined it was like a Doctor Strange thing. Like, she was on her way to maybe not necessarily the Empire, but something. And it's kind of like Mordo finding Strange in an alley. Like, oh, hey, are you looking for us? We'll take you in. That's how I always assumed it went.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Me too.
Joe, elaborate more on what you're confused about. But what else stood out to you, Blake?
Oh, well, if you remember what I said last week, the number one thing I wanted from this finale was an emotional moment between Kenobi and Vader. And I definitely got that. And after a fight that I loved quite a bit, I think that moment between them made this entire show worth it. And all of the expectations really, this was a years in the making show. Like, ever since we heard that it was going to be a movie, on to where we finally got it, there was years of build up and anticipation for me. And I think it hit every note. I liked every episode, and just that specific moment that came down to Kenobi and Vader talking made it all worth it. And like you said, with the lighting on Vader turning from blue to red was perfect, and hearing Anakin's voice and then it would distort to Vader's at the most appropriate times was great. And just, I like how they left it. It makes their reunion in A New Hope be a lot more fleshed out, and specifically what I wanted to see was Kenobi just going through it, basically, like with the tears in his eyes, just flat out apologizing, like, I'm sorry you became this. And then Anakin inadvertently lifting all of that guilt off his shoulders, like, no, don't take responsibility for me, I did this. And he's like, if that's the case, then officially goodbye. And I thought it was wrapped up perfectly.
I do want to speak to this. So Joe's asking, when the babies were delivered, Anakin was thought to be dead. 10 years later, and Obi-Wan just found out Vader is still alive. So how did Bail know? So what we're trying to tell you is, Joe, Bail was there when the kids were delivered, literally when Padme gave birth
And
to
like
Luke
died
and
on the
Leia,
table. Like
and
he
died
was
on the
there.
table, Bail Organa was there. And then his follow-up question is, if he knew Vader was alive or was Anakin, why didn't he contact
He didn't.
Obi-Wan? No, nobody outside of Kenobi. I'm gonna ignore Reva. Nobody outside of Kenobi, Anakin himself, and Palpatine know that Vader is Anakin. He's saying, I think you're missing my point. I don't know.
I don't
I am
understand this
absolutely-
point.
I'm absolutely missing your point.
I don't know your point there.
It's like a giant hole. I can't. I'm seeing right through it.
Because if you're asking how does Bail Organa know that Luke and Leia are Anakin's kids, it's because Anakin got Padme pregnant. Everyone knew that, and then she delivered his babies, and then everyone thought he was dead. Bail Organa has no idea that Vader is Anakin. If he knows now, it's because Kenobi told him off screen.
Right.
But he did not know that over the course of these 10 years.
Why do you think differently?
Right. Leia is the heart of the show. Don't add. I don't think anyone's gonna add you. I think
I
everyone
loved it.
loved
I know a
Leia.
lot of people had issues.
I'm gonna
She did
miss
such a
them.
great job.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
an
she
amazing
did.
job.
Their
love
dynamic was so amazing. I'm gonna miss them.
And
It was adorable.
and as I pass it to you, Didge, I think the most important thing for me was, remember I was thinking the idea of like, okay, maybe Kenobi's gonna brainwash her so she doesn't remember these events. I like how he essentially told her like, hey, you cannot tell anybody about me at all. Like, don't mention me, my connection to you.
Right.
Keep my name out your fucking mouth is essentially what he said to her. So now it makes more sense to when she sent that. She sent the message in a way to where it's like
I don't
she's
know.
In case somebody is-
aware.
Yeah.
in
She's
in case
aware
somebody
of who
intercepts
Obi-Wan
it.
is.
You're
Right,
just a
she's
friend
aware
of the
who he is.
family.
Right. She's aware of who he is, but she didn't want to make it sound like I literally know who you are. We've been through the trenches together.
Right.
So now they cleaned it up to where it's like, okay, you have held that together.
Mhm.
You did hold that together. I think the only thing to me that very slightly broke canon a bit was the fact that we saw Kenobi telling Luke, you got to kill Vader. And we literally watched Kenobi leave Vader alive and leave the planet. So I am curious what Kenobi finds out in these 10 years that he's like, hey, look, I've done this shit twice now. I couldn't do it. You got to put him in the ground.
So to answer Joe's question, because he asked who's he referring to, he's talking about the Emperor. Because the whole point of them still wanting to hide the kids is so that the Emperor
I know
still doesn't
no,
get it.
Bill
They still don't want
was
them
there when
to
they-
know that they're there. So when he says, what if he learns about the kids? It's about the fact that the Empire could eventually learn about who the kids are. And they
Yeah, it wasn't
They still
just
don't
Vader.
want
It was
that
also
to
the
happen.
Empire and the Emperor knowing about them.
Yeah, I'm
Cable
still.
kill him.
especially
Cable kill him.
especially knowing that they're especially knowing that they're Vader's kids, he's gonna automatically assume that they're force sensitive, and we already know that the Empire immediately was taking force sensitive kids.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Yeah, in general, you wouldn't want them to know about those kids, especially because they're smuggling Jedi or force sensitive
Oh,
people.
okay. So and again, this is a big if your issue here, Joe, is him specifically not wanting Vader to get it, no, that was never said.
Yeah,
He
and
just
that's what
didn't
it
want-
was.
Because
He
remember,
said it.
all the Jedi were leaving. They were leaving to go into hiding. So
Right.
he's like, well, if they find out that these kids are force sensitive, and then the worst part,
Is that he
whose
finds out they were
father they were.
Right.
Right, it's over. So
Yeah.
it was more so just, and it was more important because, again, this is why it's important to, I said it was important to rewatch Revenge of the Sith before watching this. It was Bail Organa's decision to take Leia. They
Yeah.
always wanted a daughter.
Yep.
So he specifically said, no, I'll take her. And then Uncle Owen was just like, well, he is my family, so I'll gladly take him. So yeah. So
But he loves him like
it
it's
was
his
not Vader
own. So
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Vader specific. It was just the Empire. All right, so Didge, walk me through your thoughts on this finale.
So I love the finale. A lot of the things there were some small gripes, like you already said, Reva's arc kind of just didn't make sense. It was one of those things that didn't need to be there, but the way that it ended has me curious to see what a show of her could be. where like I know that's sort of one of the rumors is that she's gonna have a spinoff show, and at first I was like, well, do we really need it? And now it is kind of like, I'm interested. I want to see where her story goes. So that was one thing that was wrapped up nicely for me. They did a very good way of trying to stay within canon, especially with the Leia, with the way how they ended the Leia Obi-Wan sort of relationship. Because I know we talked a long time about that, about how that was going to work out. So I was really happy to see how that worked out. And then the fight. I was last week saying that I was hoping that it ended last week because we didn't need another fight. It sort of showed Obi-Wan besting him one more time last week. But I'm so glad to say I was wrong because this fight was amazing. To see Obi-Wan get his swagger back with the Force, if that's what you want to call it, was awesome. To see him be a true badass with throwing all of the rocks. And then especially the scene with Anakin, him or Vader specifically having I think it was the right side this time, right? Because it was left side with Ahsoka, right side with. So to see that again, and I mean, we've talked about it at length about how the inflection with the voice, having it be distorted, it was something that I didn't think I needed, but watching it was like, yeah, I needed this, and it just made a rewatch of A New Hope whenever I go do that again, it's gonna be that much better.
Yeah, and especially with Deborah did do a really good job with this, making sure that Obi-Wan delivered that toy to Luke, because we know in New Hope he has that toy, right? He has that exact toy in his hands as an older man, right? Yep. So that was also very important.
I also liked how she took certain lines and now they mean a little bit more. So like when he tells Luke that Vader killed his father, it means a little bit more because Vader specifically told him straight up, yes, I killed Anakin.
Right.
So it's like
it takes
the new meaning.
Yeah, because like originally I think that line just meant for you to be like he was just trying to hide the truth.
Yeah.
About his father, and then like it's like literally means like he physically killed him himself.
Right.
And to add to your point, Didge, I loved how he told Leia about her parents, but never divulged their names.
Yes.
Right? So he didn't give her the burden of living with knowing who her father was, especially at 10 years old. Right? So he's like, I just want you to, I want you, when you think about your mom and dad, I want you to remember them as two of the greatest figures, right, in our galactic history. Right?
No, I'm going to go through it again.
That's all I want you to think about. And I love that. And I even love how Leia's just like, I don't really need to know anything else. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I understand.
Until I see, like, they don't really, with, like, Luke, it's, like, I think a little bit different, because, like, they probably, like, told them stuff. But, like, with Leia, it's, like, in Return of the Jedi, when she said, she's like, I remember my mother a little bit, like, she's, like, she was beautiful, but she was very sad. And, like, she, like, briefly says that, and it's, like, oh. It's like, all right, so she's actually been told more things.
Yeah, I think as she got older, Bail Organa probably told her more about her mother, and then she was like, okay, cool, all right, cool, love my mom, but my dad, he was just like, oh, I didn't know your dad. I can't tell you
oh no, your dad's dead. No, it's fine.
He's like, I didn't know your dad. He's a good guy though, I heard, but I didn't know. Let's change the subject. You want to go outside?
Let's run to some forces for a little bit.
Right? Yeah. Let's go do anything else besides talking about your dad.
Yeah, let's go be like diplomatic together.
Right. So that was. I mean, but they did. As we were saying last week, you just had to stick the landing, and this landing was sufficient enough for me not to really care about all the other things in the past episodes that were just like, I don't understand. Like, it seems like they saved all the power for the finale and just kind of just bullshitted their way through the other episodes.
I get them wanting to, because it seems like obviously the journey was how lost Obi-Wan was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Obi-Wan was the least of my concerns in the whole grand scheme of
okay, well, when you said power, I immediately assumed you meant.
Oh no! I didn't mean. I'm sorry. Power. I maybe shouldn't have. I meant the directors and the writing team. Like they saved all their power for the finale, and they're like, well,
it definitely seems like the journey was to get you to that final fight
Right.
and all of that. And for me, it worked. I think I can see someone saying that it was a little lost. It took a bit of a winding road, but I think it kind of got you to where you needed to be with still throwing in a little bit along the way to keep you moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think overall it was a huge success for me. Like I said, I really enjoyed the series.
Same.
Yeah, and I like now that we know, because we did see where Kenobi lived this entire time, right? Over the course of the next 10 years. That's where he's heading to. He's heading to his hut now. No more cave. He's going to get himself his own little place where he's going to live outside of.
Season 2.
I mean, they've left the door open because, look, I told you guys before, Obi-Wan Kenobi had a run-in with Black Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum tried to kill Uncle Owen.
That's how he got his little scar, right?
Right, that's how he got his scar. That's when Luke was a little older. He ran away for Luke reasons. But Black Chrysanthemum was tasked with killing Uncle Owen, and Kenobi had to come out of hiding to come save him. So I'm like, there's a lot of things you could do. I told you guys about the fact that he used to spar with I can't think of their names, but Kenobi used to spar with some species just to keep himself in shape. So it seems like this moment is where he vowed to always stay ready, so he ain't never got to get ready again. Right. So it makes all the sense in the world that he just made sure he was in the proper space going forward. So I really appreciate that. That's what they did with his character, and now we can see more moments with him and Qui-Gon, which would be really, really, really cool.
That'd
really
be cool,
awesome. Yeah, that'd be really awesome. All right, Sarah, I'm gonna go to you. Walk me through your thoughts on this finale.
My favorite part was obviously the fight. I think everyone's was. It was emotional. I got chills throughout it, and I didn't expect them to pull the Rebels scene with the mask, but that was impactful, and that is the reason they needed Hayden back, in my opinion. Even more so than the flashback. I felt like that was the most important. It's kind of funny to listen to you guys, how you interpreted the "you didn't fail me" or something, because when he said "you didn't fail me," I took it as he was not allowing Obi-Wan to take any credit for what he had turned into.
Right.
Which interesting.
It's kind of interesting to hear the opposite.
I think it's both. I would say it's both.
I was gonna say, I think they're both right in their own way.
I think your example is right from Anakin's perspective.
Right.
I think what we said is right from Kenobi's perspective.
Right.
And the way that they were writing it.
Right. And I hadn't thought of the other, so that's actually really interesting. But overall, I think this show made A New Hope more painful to have the Organas and the Lars family die, because
so tragic.
For sure.
They loved those kids, and like they took protecting them to another level. And I liked seeing Owen and Beru, especially Beru. She was a badass in this episode.
Yeah, she was strapped.
I liked seeing them come.
She was
She's like, "You move." Just
She
tosses him the gun.
literally
He was like,
got
"Oh
the
shit."
gun and I was like, okay.
Yeah, she was
She
like,
slapped the shit out of me, though.
she was like, where we hide the blicky? Let me go get that real quick. I got that thing on me.
I honestly, I don't know why, but I like Loki was like, all right. I thought when she was pulling something out, I thought it was gonna be like a lightsaber or something. Like Obi-Wan probably gave him for like a more.
No,
What?
No,
I was
God
so
it
glad
not.
it wasn't.
No, well, like let me put it this way: I was expecting it to be a freaking gun. That's all I'm saying.
Man, if you sit here and tell me I was twirling a lightsaber, man, what? Because then it makes them dying on that farm even more confusing. Like, wait a minute, you had tools not to die by a fire? I don't understand this.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad they gave them more character, because whenever you talk about his aunt and his uncle, they're always a very boring aunt and uncle, right? That just loved Luke to death, but didn't really bring anything else, right? And even here, Uncle Owen didn't really bring much. It was Beru that was just like, I got this shit. You are weak. So I really appreciated that. But no, I mean, it's just always good to see how much love Luke and Leia had, and like you said, it does make New Hope really sad.
Yes.
Because Vader definitely goes, hey, is this your planet? Is your family? All right, bet. Say goodbye. Like, it's gone. Done. Finito.
He's like, oh, this is like who took care of my children. Yeah, bye. You don't deserve this.
It's
Like,
gone.
I'm taking this away from you
It's
guys.
gone. It's like, oh, you're just gonna kill my parent? No. The whole planet's gotta go. Sorry. That's what I want to test my new weapon on. Sorry. But no, I really appreciated where this finale went. I assume we're gonna see something of Shay's character somewhere in the Rebel Alliance somewhere. They definitely made that seem like this won't be the last time we see him. If it is, no problem. But it seems like it won't be. Seems like we'll definitely see his character again somewhere. And I think as I pass it to you, Trayvon, I think the thing that I thought was most adorable about this episode is that Leia has the holster, right? And obviously she's too young for a blaster. So that's
Right.
now where her droid stays. Her
Yeah.
droid
So
lives in
cute.
there.
So
I was
cute.
like, oh, that's so adorable that the droid now lives in there. It's just like, I'm comfy in here. But I love how much of a badass she looks. It lets you know it's not confusing to see where she ends up in the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. I
And
think
how
so.
she rules, right? Especially when you think about Leia in the newest trilogy, right? And how much of a badass she essentially was. It lets you know, well,
Like-
goddamn, she's been that way since 10. Like,
One of the
like,
lines that
always been
what
that.
was it? What's her name? Is it Tara?
Tala.
The one that
Tala.
Well,
Tala.
Tala. Yeah, she said it to Obi-Wan. She's like, it was like something like Leia like took initiative and she's like, she'll be a good leader one day. And I was like, why is nobody talking about that? And she's literally like, no, like that episode. I guess saw everything else from like spoilers, and that was the one thing I did not see anyone say about. And I was like, that literally like someone said that about her, and like, why is nobody talking about it?
Yeah, it definitely, and now it makes sense you involving Leia and not Luke, because Leia's whole 10-year gap is a bit more open. It now makes sense that the events of this show is what fueled her to wanting the position that her father was referring to, because now she sees all the good she can do with it. It's not waving at people. It's not smiling at the crowd. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily even the politics of it. It's fighting for something that's bigger than yourself. And she got to see that firsthand. So that was really cool.
Well, yeah, and it's like also with like knowing that she went to Ben. Like, I know like the line's more like, oh, I know you served my father in the Clone Wars, but like we know like clearly.
We know she knows. Right. Now,
Yeah.
Now when you watch that movie, it's like a wink. Like you can wink at the screen. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You fought alongside Kenobi. But Trayvon, walk me through your thoughts on this finale.
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the fight as well. I was like, how are they gonna like pull off him beating Vader? Like I was like, I mean, obviously neither one of them's gonna die. That's the only thing about this show that as I'm watching, I'm like, well, she can't kill Luke. Neither one of these guys are gonna die. It's just hard. Like it's hard for
You
me.
just
Like,
wanted more death.
no, it's just the knowledge.
The
No,
challenge
no.
is prequels.
Yeah,
I get
you
what you
know what can't happen. So
Oh,
it's
fair.
like,
That's
why
fair.
even do this? Like, why?
It's
even do
hard
some
to
of these
come up with
things?
stakes for
Yeah.
stories and characters. We know where they're going to be in a few
Right.
years. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
like,
that's
when
why when you look
Sure.
at the show, you got to address it as more so as filling in narrative gaps.
Yeah.
More so than anything else, right? It's just filling in
Especially-
narrative gaps.
Like when Reva took Luke, I was like, okay, like she's not gonna kill him. So it's like, why? Why do this? I get it, you gotta give her something to do, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess she kind of redeemed herself, but I don't know who said it in the comments. I can't remember, but they were like, she does know too much though. When you really think about it,
Mhm.
and you let her just walk away, like that could backfire. Like they can, she ain't fully. We don't know how
Well,
good she is.
To be
Right
fair,
now.
the only reason it won't necessarily backfire is she now knows she's not stronger than Kenobi, even on a so-so day, and she can never go back to the Empire, even if she tried to lead with "I know about your kids." Vader wouldn't let her get past just seeing her. He would kill her again, right? And this time he would make sure she is gone. So it's like she has no leverage here, right? You can't go back to the Empire, right? And you can't use anything against Kenobi because Kenobi will then find you and go kill you, right? So it's like you really have no horse in this race anymore. Now it's just you got to go live your life, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any leverage anymore. Your leverage is gone, you know? So that's where it's more so like, yes, should she not be alive theoretically, knowing as much as she knows about Vader? 100%. But she can't use that said information now. So that's why they kind of wrote it in a way to where it's like, well, now she has nothing to do with that said information. She can't use it.
It's like, yeah, she's alive, but she can't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Vader killed her for the minimum. It'll offend Vader that he didn't even achieve the goal of killing her. Like, goddamn, I let you live twice? Shit.
You said, yeah, see, you saying killing her. I'm like, that was the one problem I had. I think when he stabbed her, but didn't make sure she was dead. Like, I was just like, okay, that's not.
Yeah.
I agree.
You
That's
know,
not what Vader
He
did.
did it twice is what really makes you
Yeah,
think.
like-
He stabbed her the same way twice. And
Yeah.
like, what makes you think stabbing her works?
Right.
Everyone thought he was gonna Count Dooku her. with
Yeah.
the,
I was
Yeah.
hoping.
I
I
thought
was
that
hoping he
was
was gonna
coming.
do that.
I thought the
Like, that's
lightsabers,
like
I was
the
like,
coolest
no.
move. I'm like, that's Anakin's coolest
Oh.
move right there.
Cut her head off.
Like the head removal.
the
yeah.
OG
Come on, man.
execution of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, the head and shoulders. That's what I call that move. The head and shoulders. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. So it'll be very interesting to see where her story progresses. But we have seen Star Wars lately for characters that get a lot of scrutiny. They seem to finish it and then just take breaks from said character. So it'll be interesting to see if Reva gets the immediate green
where
light.
she pops up again.
Right, or if they take their time with Reva in reintroducing her.
She could even
that
get a
would be very
comic
interesting.
series. That would be pretty
That's
cool.
it.
I do
I
want
feel
to see
like that's
more
more likely.
that character.
Or she could be in
I don't
another
know.
show.
I mean,
in another
you
show,
Yes, you could have her show up in the Ahsoka
not
show,
hers.
right? You could have her
Yes.
show up in the Ahsoka show where
The,
it's more palatable. She's not a main
the only
character.
downside to
Older.
doing a comic, she could even show up on like an animated show if they ever come up with a new one. I
Yeah.
like Moses Ingram as that character.
I
And I
agree.
Yeah.
think her performance is the best part of that character. So
Yeah.
just any way to get her back.
Yes, because if her acting talent was not high, that would have been very
Yeah.
bad for that
would've been-
character.
It
The
would have been
character a lot of
tough.
people think was already poorly written, now poorly acted, would have never seen the light of day. But yeah, I think Dave Filoni should develop a animated series about these 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? After 10 years after Clone Wars, we should see a series about what's happening here, and that's where you could reprise Moses Ingram as Reva.
Is
let
Tales
her
of
play
the
around.
Jedi a miniseries, or is that going to
Yes.
be a new? It is okay.
It's a mini series, but we're starting to find out mini series means nothing to Disney.
Yeah.
Like they'll say
It's
it.
also
and then they're just
characters that
like,
Moon Knight
Yes,
season
already.
2, please.
It's almost make it like a exclusive thing. Like, watch this. It's only one season of it, and then
You know what it
you
reminds
liked
me of,
it?
Trayvon? You know what it
Okay.
reminds me of? It reminds me of when, again, it's a completely different comparison, but when wrestling said, all right, John Cena versus The Rock, the only time you'll ever see it, one time only, you'll never see this happen again, and they ran it back literally the very next year. It was just like, well, then what was all that for? Like, why did
get
you
you to
hype it
watch.
like that? I was going to watch it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
if you told me Kenobi was just a series, I was going to watch it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to say limited series, one time only. You didn't have to spruce it. Kenobi.
I
being
guess they
back was
figure
good.
you like if you thought it was a limited series, you like start in your mind thinking about what they're going to do in this show. You're like, what do they have to do to make it worth it if it's limited or whatever? Like maybe that's a thought process. Yeah, I don't know. Like we're talking about season 2 and stuff like that. I just don't know what I would care to see. I don't know. Like I mean, I feel like we got unless he like him finding Vader again wouldn't be as exciting as it is right here.
Vader wouldn't be involved
You know,
in the season.
um,
No, it wouldn't be involved.
So I don't know the
Not for
draw for that.
Well, the
technically.
draw would just be: do people want to see more Kenobi? And the answer to that is yes. If we know anything about just this series existing, is that people want more Kenobi.
I feel like people want more Vader.
Both.
I think it's
Kenobi.
both. I think it's
think
both.
it's both.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
Mm.
I think it's both. Reva's best bet is to lay low and maybe do work in the shady gangster side of Star Wars mythos, or she fights for the rebellion for a while. I don't know. To me, I want Reva to follow in the footsteps of Asajj Ventress.
I was just gonna say
I
that.
would have kept
Yeah.
that damn lightsaber thing.
When
too,
does Ventress die? Could Reva and
Oh,
Ventress?
Ventress! No, Ventress died
Didn't
10
she
years
get-
ago.
Didn't she get killed
10
by
years
ago.
Dooku?
Okay.
Yeah, she got killed by Dooku.
Yeah.
This is 10 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
a
okay.
little longer than 10 years ago,
I
actually.
was gonna say I didn't know if we gave her some time in the history or if it was like kind of right when Clone Wars ended and she.
If there's one thing we learned, it's A, Filoni will bring a motherfucker back to life.
I was
B,
saying also
nobody
the
stays dead.
thing, the thing with Ventress, she died in a book. Was it a book?
Yes,
or a
she did
was
die in
a
a book.
So it's like
But
you can work your way around that somehow because it was in a book. You didn't necessarily see a death. You didn't see a body or anything. So there can be some things that could be worked around with that one.
I would
It's
agree with
easier.
you if they didn't mention Quinlan Voss. If they didn't mention Quinlan Voss, yeah, retcon all that. But the fact that they mentioned him, Asajj dying to save him is very crucial
yeah,
to
shit, I
that
forgot.
character's development. If
He
we
didn't
were to
show
ever
up, so
give
the
it.
mention meant nothing to me. So I forgot
No, I
about
get
it.
it. I definitely get that.
forgot
we
about
gotta
that.
get some boss.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Dooku was about to kill Quinlan Voss with Force Lightning, and Asajj Ventress essentially jumped in front of
Jumped in
him
the way.
and got burnt to a crisp.
This was in the book.
Yes, yeah.
Right, in the book don't matter. Bring it
Well, remember, there were a lot of things that were supposed to happen in Clone Wars, the series, that Filoni just decided to keep out. The Cad Bane thing, he kept out. Cad Bane was supposed to die, kept that out. Ventress was supposed to die, kept that out. So there was a lot of things that Filoni sat down with him and was just like, I could use them later. Nah, don't kill
I
them.
want to see Ventress in live action. That would be so cool.
That'd be
I
very
said
cool.
Ventress showing up to
Very
help
cool.
Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series would be poetic. Because the last time they left each other was very much of a workplace respect, but they do not like each other. It's more so like essentially like when parents split and like you go to see the other parent and they're cordial, but like as soon as you go in the house, they're just shooting middle fingers at each other. Like that's essentially what Ventress and Ahsoka are. To where it's like, all
That's a
right,
good analogy.
I'll help you, but behind your back, if I could stab the fuck out of you, I would.
I'll still hold out a small hope that she could show up and that they figure out something.
It'll be interesting because if Ventress does show up again, you then have to drastically make sure there's nothing about Reva's story that at all mirrors Ventress. That's why I said if you keep Ventress dead, Reva can just fill in that gap of what Ventress was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So her story would make all the sense in the world. You could have it be she joins some bounty hunters for a while, right? You could have it be that she maybe tries to help the rebellion, but for her own reasons. You know what I'm saying? Maybe another shot at sticking it to Vader or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, if
That
you
might
keep
be her new
Ventress dead,
motivation.
that's the way to do. Say it again, Trayvon.
I was saying that could, definitely be Reva's next motivation. Like, just help with that because it goes against Vader.
Yeah,
It goes against,
100%.
you know.
Yeah, she knows all their routes, stuff like that. So it's like she can find little intricate ways to stick
You know, that's what, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, she knows a lot, not just kids and Anakin, but she knows the
She knows
workings.
a lot.
of
Yeah, a lot of the working.
both sides. Like,
To be
Mhm.
fair,
Double agent.
the Empire is always forward thinking. So once Reva kind of like broke off, I guarantee you they changed everything. Like just in case, change everything in case somebody else in here can't
Wow.
be trusted.
or maybe if they
Switch
thought,
it up,
That would be the smart thing to do.
right?
Yeah.
But the Empire doesn't always make smart decisions.
But they didn't seem to respect her though. So maybe they didn't think. I don't care. Like maybe they didn't.
She
You
was
know,
smart
it's-
though.
Yeah, but you saw how the Grand Inquisitor was talking to her. Like she
Yeah.
was less than. So
Definitely,
maybe they don't care about her opinion or what she knows.
They better hope so. I mean, she better hope so. But, did you want to add anything else, Trayvon, before I pass to Sabrina to end this out?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, so Sabrina, walk us through your thoughts on this finale.
I don't want to be that person and be like, for the most part, I really didn't find anything wrong with it because it's like
If you didn't,
some
you
of this
didn't.
complaint stuff. This is the kind of like this entire show from like start to finish. Like yes, everything wasn't like completely perfect, but I got everything I wanted out of it. And like it wasn't just like 5 and 6. Like from like start to finish, I was just one of those people that like knew what I was getting myself into. Like the second, this show started and everything, and I don't know. I was very satisfied with everything. The only like issue I had with the finale is like already been said like multiple like I loved like Reva like finally like having like her completed arc with like Did I Become Him, and like I loved the reveal of her like being the like them confirming that she was the youngling and that she kind of was like working against him to get her revenge. But I loved that not only was she scared that she became Vader, that like Obi-Wan kind of told her that because you didn't do that, like all your friends are at peace now. So like that was beautifully done. But like the only thing I just didn't like was like her chasing Luke. Like the second he was in the end of episode 5, me and Blake were like really like nervous because I never felt like nervous anything that they were doing in the show up until that. I was like, what are they doing with Luke? Why is he being shown? Like, because I think that was like the whole reason why they did stuff with Leia, because like they couldn't technically like touch Luke with the story because of like A New Hope and everything, because it could mess everything up. So like when he showed up again, I was like, why? I was like, why are they? And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm starting to feel a little nervous. And then like, obviously, it didn't ruin like too like really anything, but still, I think it was a little. Up until that moment of like her saying like, "Did I become him?" I thought it was a little pointless too. But I liked seeing Owen and Beru. But other than that, though, like everything else was set so like perfectly and had a purpose. And I just like one of my favorite things about this series is like Star Wars never shies away from parallels. Not even just like the nostalgic of like Kenobi just saying like hello there, just like any little thing. Because like after every episode, and you're going like through like spoiler tags, and you're like, oh, this reference, and you're like, oh my god, that's right. So it's like there's always like little references for everything, and it all connecting. And I don't know, I'm just very satisfied and happy with everything that I got. This episode broke me very much, but I got what I wanted with that scene with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like, I'm gonna be like mentally there. Like every episode, there's always that one moment when I'm gonna mentally be here for like a little bit, and then I'll move on to the next episode for the next week. And now I'm like, now it's over. I'm just gonna like put it all together and just probably like watch this series on multiple times and just cry because like it was so perfect. So yeah. I don't know. I'm just so happy.
Well, this is definitely a rewatchable series. Like it's going to be rewatchable.
I don't like for the most part.
For
like,
me,
I get, like it's not perfect and not everyone's gonna love it, but some of the stuff that people are complaining about doesn't make sense to me. Was like a little like okay, like I don't know. There's just like one person I was just talking to about it, so like it ruined Kenobi's and Anakin's characterization. I was like, it really didn't. I was like, it just pushed. I was like, it's literally about their bond and like them finally getting the closure that they needed to like move on.
I'll say I'm in the middle of that comment. I believe this show did nothing to diminish or elevate either one of them. I believe whatever you thought about Kenobi coming into this series, it shouldn't have changed. Whatever you thought of Vader heading into this series shouldn't have. So if you didn't like Vader, right, this didn't do anything to sway you any differently than anything you've ever seen before of Vader. If you didn't like Kenobi, this didn't do any. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing drastically different about either one of these characters that would sway you either. I don't know. It just like way. The stuff that like I would see was like, oh, because like I understand like they're waiting for the Kenobi the confident Kenobi we saw in the finale, but it's like you have to also understand why they're doing this. Like it's like the time frame. You gotta forget like I feel like every episode people are forgetting this is 10 years and he hasn't done anything. It's like stuff like that. You have to keep like every episode. Yeah. People will complain that stuff where it's like, okay, there's a reason why they're doing that.
Mm-hmm. That is
so. It's like.
I was gonna say there was people. They also with that same thing. They also don't realize the stress and trauma. Like what he had to do at the end of episode 3 is very stressful and very traumatic. There's a reason why. Yeah,
like it was literally off. Like it wasn't just like whatever. It's so much more. Like that's why they made such a big deal about this. Especially like when Obi-Wan found out Anakin was alive and like that connection, like that connection's still there, even though he thought Anakin was dead. Like the second he found out he was alive, that connection broke like open again. And like that bond that they share, like still, even though like Anakin's is dead, as he said in the finale, they still have that that connection, like somehow, like that
Wait,
bond.
so someone was saying that they thought this show ruined their connection.
Yes, I saw that too.
Their
There are people-
characterization, their connection, yeah.
So
I saw that too.
Again, do these people forget in New Hope, Kenobi literally is tasking Anakin's son with killing him? Wouldn't that be the ultimate separation of a bond between two characters?
The thing I said to Blake was, because like last night, like I was saying that because in A New Hope, when he sees him again before like Vader like officially kills Kenobi, it's not like a surprise that he's seeing him. So like obviously from this, even before the series came out, we know that that wasn't the first time they saw each other because like obviously he would be more shocked. They're clearly like there's not a lot of hatred or bitterness or anything along those lines because as we saw, like obviously there's still bitterness, but it's like they still got their closure, you know? Like Obi-Wan's not tortured as much anymore and not blaming himself, especially after that moment.
It should
So it's like stuff like that. Like it's like even little things like that. It's like when Kenobi sees him again, it's like okay, he's not like oh shit. Like he still looks at it as like a tragedy, like when he tells Luke about his father, but like it's not like the whole
Essentially,
just like the
Kenobi
bitterness that we saw.
Kenobi just found inner peace. It doesn't bother him.
Yeah, he
Seeing
finally found
Vader
inner
again.
peace because
The
he's
way
blaming
he
for 10
referenced him,
years. He's
too.
having nightmares and blaming himself for everything.
Yeah, that's done.
I think a lot of people don't like when I don't want to say like I don't want to use this word, but like I'm gonna use it, and people are probably gonna get mad at me, but like I'm gonna compare it a little bit to Moon Knight. It's like the character study because it's like it's about a character like going through trauma and stuff like that. It's like oh, you just want to watch them fight. It's like no, it's more than that. Like you have to, you know.
I would compare it more to Logan in terms of character.
Well, no, I'm just talking about like focusing on him like building his confidence back up. So like it's like that study. It's like his emotional like study of like his character, you know.
Yeah,
but like people are like, oh, why is he not like as strong? It's like he hasn't freaking touched the Force in 10 years. What do you mean? Like, of course he's not gonna be like
Makes
the
sense.
same. But that's what I mean. But people like that don't like the emotional development or like
Don't have the attention
that characterization, and they would just want to see people fight. And I'm just like,
but that's never been
it's more
Star
than
Wars.
that.
That's never been.
But
Star
a
Wars.
lot of people, if for some reason, a lot of Star Wars fans get it in their head that it is.
It's
And
never been. Star Wars.
It's
it
not.
weirds me
It's
out.
never been.
It
There's more
weirds
than
me
enough
out.
YouTube clips to keep them entertained.
Like
I mean,
I said
there's-
it to them, and I was like not trying to be rude, but I was like, if you believe that this series ruined their characterization or like their bond, like you probably did not know them as characters anyway. Same thing with people who are like mad about little Leia. Like, if you really don't think that little girl is like the same Leia or like that's what she grows up into, like then you didn't know Leia like from the original trilogy because like that's literally her.
I do want to say this. Because I'm a massive fan of Star Wars theory, and I know a lot of people were attacking him this past week. I do want to make it very clear. We are all passionate Star Wars fans, right?
Yeah.
All of them. All walks of life. Doesn't matter how little you've seen, how much you've seen. At the end of the day, you sum it up by we're all Star Wars fans. So
Yeah.
I am not of the belief, and I'm not saying anyone here feels it. I just want to do like a quick PSA. I don't believe that if you haven't seen this or you haven't seen that, you're less of a Star Wars fan. Where my argument comes from is when you try to argue a point without knowing the full scale of what you're arguing. That's where my issue comes from.
That's what I'm saying.
Not because
like,
you
that's
disagree
my...
with me or anything like that. It's that these stories are meant to be told in full, right? Like picture telling somebody Iron Man's story just from Infinity War to Endgame, leaving out the whole journey to see the man he was in Iron Man and the man he died as in Endgame.
Well, it's
You
like,
You don't
yeah,
understand the
so a lot of
cheeseburgers
people-
line.
Exactly, right. You need the full story, right?
I
So
cried
To me,
Well, it's like the people who don't like the prequels.
every time.
So
Yeah.
to me, Star Wars is not something that's just movie based, right? Like it's not like, all right, have you seen all the Die Hards? Yeah, well, you understand Die Hard, right? There's not a TV series, not a book. There are books that are canon to these characters.
Comics,
there are
everything.
cartoons that are canon to these characters. So
Yeah,
it's
right,
important
games.
to know, right? So it's important to know the whole scale. And I think a lot of Star Wars fans feel as though, well, if I know the movies, I'm good. I know it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, that's only a little taste of what the larger canonical world of
You
Star
can't
Wars.
dismiss those people though either though.
No, but that's my point. I
You
don't.
can't make them.
No,
You know,
but like I just
No.
feel
You're
like
lesser
they're
than us,
just missing-
Trayvon. No, I'm playing.
I'm just
Not that
saying,
they're
like,
dismissing them, but they're just missing the whole picture because it's like when they say they're like this doesn't make sense to me, or it's like okay, if you that's why like people encourage to watch everything because like stuff you could miss.
But my point is, Trayvon, that's what I was just saying. It's not to dismiss them. To me, you are a Star Wars fan knowing that you haven't read any of the books, right? Now, Trayvon, if you came to me and said, "Oh yeah, it's totally like Vader to just let somebody know his identity and walk off," I would then argue you down because you don't know that his identity meant everything to him in keeping that secret. But you would only
see.
know
I feel like that's
from the
like
book.
that's you can't. I still don't feel like you can do that. I feel like
To me-
For that
can't do
instance,
that.
like
I don't
her
understand
knowing
it.
he
You'd
didn't
be
know that she
arguing-
knew, kind of thing.
You wait, hold on. Before I go forward, what do you mean by that, Trayvon? Before I argue something,
Because I feel like everybody, like, you can't expect people are going off of what they've seen and they're going to say that, and I feel like they're right and you right too. Like I can't.
only reason both parties can't be right is because there is another part of that story. You know what I'm saying? So
it
it's
wouldn't
like
be an issue necessarily of them saying it the first time. It's if they're combative back.
yes,
without the full
thank
information.
You, Gage. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You could state it because you don't know, but it's when I then tell you canonically this is how it is, and if you then still are arguing with that said point, my response to you would be, well, you're arguing something you just don't know, right? Like
But
you're
what-
arguing.
I'm one
and
of
all
the people
you
that's going to
hear.
argue back. I'm one of
But
the people
what
that's
if
gonna be
they
like,
kind
I'm
of
gonna
were
argue
saying,
back.
but now canonically, it's the opposite?
What do you
To be
mean?
honest, I'm one of those people
Because
that's
this
going
is
to
still
argue back.
canon, and he did the opposite of what he did in the book. So which one's right? Like,
Well, no. Hold on. Time out. Hold on. This doesn't make his mindset canon. This just makes this a bad narrative for Vader. Because even Kenobi says in the show, Vader wouldn't let you live if he knew you knew his identity. He literally said that in the said show. So I'm like, this isn't me just holding on to the books. Kenobi even realized, like, wait a minute, hold on. He would not let you live.
Like they
if he knew
acknowledged
you
it
knew
in the
this.
show and in that episode.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
You also
Trayvon.
haven't known him for 10 years, so
Haven't known who for 10 years.
he hasn't known Vader for 10 years, so you don't know how he is now, right?
Well, I can tell you this, Trayvon.
Kenobi,
I can tell you
Kenobi,
this.
he hasn't known him
Jedi,
for 10 years,
the Jedi Temple
so
house more than the 16 people it showed Anakin killed. So there's a good chance that half of them escaped. So there's a likelihood that whoever escaped knew Anakin and could put the pieces together. Vader spent these past 10 years hunting
them down.
every last one of them down.
And if
So
anything,
that's my point.
Obi-Wan was proven correct because he literally figured he would be over aggressive and attack and not think, and he was right.
Right. He was right.
but let the
Anakin is
third
still Anakin.
sister walk around. Like
That is the only thing we can't really understand.
No, but what you're saying, Trayvon, is what we're arguing. That was just narratively written bad.
That was just bad narrative.
Like that was just bad writing.
Yeah,
That's just bad writing. That doesn't make sense to us either. So that's all I'm saying. There is no such thing as I'm more of a Marvel fan than you are. I'm more of a DC fan than you are. We're all fans of the same thing. It's just sometimes when you
I am
want.
definitely more of a Power Ranger fan than most people.
I
I'm just
wanna-
playing. I'm just playing. I just want to say that.
I'm-
Go ahead, it's good. It's good.
To be fair,
Well, yeah.
I believe a lot of people don't even know half of it's still on air. You do, so I give you that. I really do give you
To
that.
be fair,
Wait,
Trayvon, if you wouldn't have made that joke with something, I was gonna make the same joke with something else. So I'm right with you.
Wait, I missed that. What
Definitely
happened?
give you that. No, Trayvon is a massive Power Rangers fan. So if Trayvon was to argue down somebody in Power Rangers, I would just assume whatever Trayvon's saying is right because I stopped following Power Rangers like 15 years ago. So to me,
Yeah.
he's right. Whatever he's saying, he's right. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
Can't fight it.
Yeah, like if somebody told me right now, hey, in the Pokemon series, Ash is black now, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I believe it. I don't
What?
fucking know. I don't watch it. Like, I don't know. I haven't watched Pokemon in
That'd
like
be
20
like me telling
years.
Blake something. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's like me telling Blake about Pokemon because he really doesn't know anything about it.
I'd believe whatever you told me. I'm a
Never.
big yes. I will tell you that Mr. E knows
Right?
more
There's like
about
certain things I
Godzilla
tell him,
than
he's like, okay, cool.
anybody here.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that
Straight.
anybody is less of a fan than anybody. I just want us all to get to a point so where we all enjoy it for what it is. And then if somebody just has information you don't have, you're open to it. You can not like it, but you're open to hearing what that missing information is. And then you can do what you want with the information, but just receive it first. And then if you want to say, it's bullshit, I don't like it, you can do that. I mean, hell, Joel knows more about Marvel than I could ever dream of, and we still argue the fact that there's about to be 2 Thors. Joel still doesn't like that. He knows the background, but he still doesn't like it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. There's a way to do both. All right. So before we get out of here, I wanted to talk about the last bit of Star Wars news because it'll be a while before we're all together again talking Star Wars. There was a massive rumor dropped by friend of GVN, Christian Harloff, that we will be seeing Cal Kestis in a live-action series, right? This is massive news. This is massive news, if true. But as me and Joel said, we believe Christian Harloff to know what he's talking about. So, Didge, I want to start off with you. What does this news do for you, man, if we're getting a Cal Kestis series?
I'm pumped. They should, if they're gonna release the show, release it with the new game. I don't know. Do something crazy. Just get me the game faster.
Give us a show about what happened in between the games. Give us a show.
That's actually
we
perfect because
we gotta wait to see how much time has passed.
well, we know for sure it's 5. We know for sure it's 5
years.
Oh, okay.
It said it in the whatever you want, like their teaser.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Their teaser information that it's 5 years. So that's actually perfect to something that unfortunately ties to the game. But fuck it, give us the game and the show at the same time.
Well, you know what?
Or right before the game.
Right.
That would be masterful marketing. So picture this: your show takes place in a 5-year gap between 1 and 2, and then your season 2 is the fallout from the second game.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of immediately addressing the fallout from it in another game, you address it in the series.
In the series.
And then your game follows up that second season of that.
I would love
series.
it.
Yeah, like you can keep going hand in hand and hand in hand in hand. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like that. Yeah, I'm with you there. Trayvon, you played this game, what was it, last year or the year before?
No, but I feel like it was still this year. I don't know. It was recently, maybe a couple months ago, I guess, when I finished it.
So like, what does this mean for you? Because you've completed it recently. You love the game. Like, what does this mean for you?
I love Cameron since I'm Shameless. I really loved what he did in Gotham. I really did like what he did in Gotham. I don't know if I like the show overall, but I did like what he did in Gotham.
The show was great.
Yeah. He was great in it. But anyway, I'm excited to see him. Like, they made the game based off of him. It looks like him. Everything, like, just do it. Just give it to me. Give me the show. Like, come on. Like, it's right there. Just give it to me. It's perfect. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to see how they do it. I'm very excited for this. It's right behind Ahsoka. It's right behind it. Right behind that. So from my excitement level. Yeah.
Yeah. Joel, what are your thoughts on this?
Super excited. I love Fallen Order. I'm really looking forward to Survivor, and I love Cameron since like he was a little boy in Shameless, and I saw him grow up. It was sad.
He really did grow up in that. Wow.
Yeah, Shameless is a great show, and the Gotham. He was great in Gotham. Like fantastic in Gotham, right?
Yeah.
And like when he got casted to do Cal Kestis in a game, I was so happy for him.
Yes.
And playing with him in the game was awesome as well. So giving him a live action series is commendable. So I cannot be more excited. Whether it's in between the both games or after a sequel after the game, I don't know. Whatever they want to do, I'm down.
After that, he just needs to conquer DC. Marvel, and then he's got all of them under his belt.
Look, right now, Natalie Portman is the only one with the Infinity Gauntlet. She's done
He might be
DC,
next.
Marvel,
Listen,
and Star Wars.
I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
like
she was in
back
V for
then.
Vendetta, huh?
Yep, everyone
Oh,
tends
yeah.
to forget V for
Yeah.
Vendetta. Yeah,
That's because like
Um,
it's Vertigo.
Yeah, we went to the
Right.
Homecoming premiere.
it's
and
more
he was like,
Vertigo
oh,
than actually DC.
Right.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Well, Cameron might get his chance because if Feige's willing to do Venom, I think he might be
They're
willing to
gonna
do
need a
Venom
better
and
Carnage.
Perfect.
Yeah, so he might get his
He
chance.
literally said it too. He's like,
Holy
Marvel,
shit.
call me for Carnage. I'll play him.
Yeah, just
Wow.
saying,
He would've
door
been
could be
cool.
open. Door could be open.
Oh my god.
But I will say one thing we need to do.
Draymond, you're like, oh my god, yeah.
That's
His mind
perfect.
was
That's
blown.
so
Right?
perfect.
Right?
I just hear you
Oh
up in
my
the
God.
corner. I'm like, he gets it.
As I,
Yeah. See, I
Is
like
that-
know really nothing about Carnage, but I'd be like the biggest Carnage fan if that was the case. 'cause
I
I'd be
mean,
like,
he
yes,
looks like
my
Cletus
boy.
Cassidy.
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Hayat and Shameless. I'm thinking about
He'd be perfect
Gotham.
as Carnage.
Like, it's
About
just,
him and Gotham.
wow. Yeah.
But as I pass it to you, Blake, the one thing about them developing this game as a series now that breaks my heart is I would have really loved to have seen a live action Trilla. Like I would have fucking loved to see her.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I'm
God.
saying? Like
Vader's like, sorry.
yeah, Vader's like I didn't know they were gonna make a series. My bad. Sorry.
I want to see Inquisitors. I want to see more of like that, like the origins.
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Vader. You killed the wrong goddamn Inquisitor. I'd fucking
He was so
actually kill
menacing in
Trilla,
that
but let
game.
Reva walk away. God damn you, Vader. But Blake, how excited are you that this might be turned into a series?
Cameron is easily one of my favorite actors of all time because of Gotham, and then Shameless is also another one of my favorite shows. And I liked Fallen Order. I'm not the biggest gamer, but I liked the story the most when it comes to Fallen Order. The going back to the same planet throughout the entire game started to bother me, but I'm gonna replay it, and I feel like my mind is gonna change. That cinematic trailer for Star Wars Survivor looks incredible. And I love Cal Kestis, and BD1 is an amazing droid. It's like the genuine dog in Star Wars universe, and I love him. And to see Cal with BD1 in live action would be incredible. And I think it's just a really good idea for a Star Wars series. Everybody immediately fell in love with Cal and his story in Fallen Order. I think it's a no-brainer to bring him to a TV show, maybe in a movie, and just the Cal Kestis universe.
I mean, look, I'll argue as I pass it to you, Sarah. I'll argue that Fallen Order and The Mandalorian were the two best things to happen to Star Wars post that trilogy that they just put out. Right?
Yeah,
like those
easily.
were the two biggest things that the whole narrative of Star Wars changed, right? Like the conversation wasn't Rey, wasn't Kylo, wasn't Poe. It was Cal Kestis and Din Djarin, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the BD droid and Grogu. Like, that was all the internet was talking about for the longest. Either that game or The Mandalorian, right? So, to me, it's like your focus should be on how much more can you enhance The Mandalorian and Cal Kestis, right? Put them in comics, games, movies, shows, whatever.
Ooh,
Maximize.
Mandalorian game.
It'd be great.
Please.
It would really be great.
Mm,
I said
That'd
it
be
before.
amazing.
If I can get a Mandalorian game that plays like Red Dead Redemption 2, fucking love it. Fucking love it. But Sarah, how excited are you for a Cal Kestis series?
I loved Jedi Fallen Order. It got me into games really. It was so much fun, and I thought the story was great. And I feel like Cal is like the true sentiment of a Jedi. He just has the attitude of it. And as soon as I saw that they based the character directly off of Cameron, I just knew they needed to make a live action because I need to see him in live action. So I've been waiting for it since I saw that, and I would be so excited if it really came to be.
Cal Kestis is, outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the more, and Ahsoka to a degree, one of the few purest Jedis that there ever were. Never wavered to the dark side, you know what I'm saying? Just pure at heart, just completely pure through and through. So I'm curious if this game maybe explores the other side of Cal Kestis. We know they flirted with it in Fallen Order a little bit.
There's a Sith skin for him, right?
Is there?
Yeah, they
Is
just
it?
they.
Oh,
I didn't know.
It was
that.
a recent addition. Like it wasn't too long ago they added it.
I didn't know that, but I know for a
I gotta
fact
look this
because I
up
do it
right
with
now.
Like
I do it with
Sith
every
Lord Cal Kestis. Let me see.
I do it with every Star Wars game they allow me to do it with. I always change my Jedi's lightsabers to red. It's just a natural default for me. So,
Same.
so
Yeah.
as soon as
Inquisitor
I
outfit.
could,
Inquisitor, yeah.
oh,
Inquisitor.
an Inquisitor outfit. Wasn't that like a nightmare he had where he was an Inquisitor?
Yeah, and they added the skins. so you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
play as
Okay.
that.
Yeah. I'm like, they definitely flirted with him being on the dark side at some point. That's what it was. But yeah, Force Unleashed immediately red. This red. As soon as I can make that shit red. Red. Come on now.
It
Same.
makes sense to be red if you were in a Sith, though. For me.
What? That's my problem. I never.
Yeah,
get to play
I
as
would have been a Sith. Most likely.
that's my problem.
Yeah.
If I can't be a Sith, in my mind, mentally, I'm killing everything here. So red lightsaber, we're killing everything. Good, bad, indifferent. They need to give us a game like that. Like we've played enough games as Jedi. What's the other side feel like?
Well,
Let me
that's
get that dark side a little bit.
that's what Knights of the Old Republic wasn't it too? That you were.
No, because again, you can make your own decisions in Knights of the Old Republic. So you could have gone
So
good if
you
wanted
could have
to.
gone. Yeah. Oh, so you
Yeah.
just want it where you have no choice but to be.
Yeah, I mean, I got no choice but to be a goddamn Jedi all the time. So why not?
That's the
the Old
darkest thing you've ever
Republic-
said.
In the Old Republic,
You're forced to be
the,
evil and kill people.
Yeah, let me
The
be.
computer game. I think if you start off on the dark side, I never got fully into it.
On
I
which
don't
game?
think the Old Republic, the computer RPG one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think
yeah,
if
you're
you,
right.
I think if you choose to be the dark side, I don't think you have a chance to go light on there.
You're right. You know what, Didge? You're absolutely right. Let me correct myself. I want games that look as good as Fallen Order.
Fair.
Where I'm allowed to be.
But that game is also the Old Republic. I think is like 10, 12 years old by now.
Yes.
So
yes.
when it first came out, it was
Um,
great.
It was. It's the only thing you had. It was a gem. But now that you see how great things look, let me get
Fair.
a red lightsaber.
I've been wanting them to bring that to consoles since it came out.
I mean, look, we're preaching a Vader series. Shit, give me a Vader game. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yes. Yes.
Overpowered
Like-
the game.
Yes.
I've
come
become the
on
biggest
now.
gamer then.
Yeah, you would have the game just like, all right, you're
They
too
would play
powerful.
like Doom,
Like,
throwing your lightsaber everywhere, force crushing everything.
Yep.
oh no, I'm sorry. We
I'm not
got
a gamer,
feel-
but I would be the biggest gamer then.
we technically got a feel of what a Vader game would be.
Force
Force
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Yeah,
Yeah.
Force Unleashed. Yeah.
That's the only thing I
Except-
remember playing. And
except
then they took
Vader-
them away from me.
Right, except Vader should be way more powerful than that. Which is interesting because, fun fact, George Lucas did say once he became Vader with, being burnt and everything, he's only 80% of what Palpatine's full power is. But had he not got burnt, his power levels would have been 200% more than what Palpatine's was at his full power. So I'm like, anytime I hear that, I'm just like, Anakin has to be saying to himself, fucking Kenobi, man.
Right.
Fucking Kenobi!
Which is why he was so focused on. Look, I need to go find him.
Right.
In this episode.
He's like, yo, I could be beating the dog shit out of Palpatine right now if I had my regular body. Damn you, Kenobi in the high ground. But Sabrina, to end this out, how excited are you for a Cal Kestis game? I
So
mean,
excited.
sorry,
I'm about to say, they're
series.
great.
He's gonna get that game.
Series. We don't have
How
to theorize
excited!
on the game.
I think it's extremely well deserved, and I think
Me
it's about
too.
time.
Yes.
I think it's about time
Yes.
because, like, I remember my manager at work was like basically saying because like he even got his own lightsaber at Disneyland, so it's like
Yeah, I
that
saw
makes more
that,
sense.
yeah.
That they're either gonna bring him in a show because like I remember a lot of people were even theorizing that he could show up, that he was gonna he could show up in Kenobi, but obviously that didn't happen. But like he could show up anywhere, and I would love to. And I would love that.
Yeah, same here.
I would love to get. I'd love for him to get his own series, like not just like a game, like an actual like live action series. And like you don't even have to like find the new person because it's already you just use Cameron. So it's like
you can use everybody that you used.
Yeah, you got.
Literally, they took everybody's face. So everybody that you saw.
I like the video
That's
games
still
do
alive.
that now.
Yeah, you could just use literally everybody. I am
Yeah.
very curious, and I'm curious to see how the second game answers this. But Vader knows about Cal Kestis, so I'm pretty curious if Vader's just like, that was a strong motherfucker. Let me send some more Inquisitors out to handle this. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think I need to see Vader face Cal Kestis again. You did it once. We know that
It hurts to say. I don't need to see it either.
we know at no point Cal Kestis should ever defeat Vader, right? Especially in this timeline that
That
we're
was more of a check
in.
running You know?
Yeah, I was saying,
Right. That was more escaping.
Was it a fight, really?
Right. It was more escaping.
You
So
know
to
you're
me-
fucked when the boss doesn't have a health bar.
Yeah.
Right.
The game was just like his power level is over
That
5,000.
was-
We don't know what to
That
tell
was
you.
like a horror
Like-
movie. Fucking
It
When
was.
that cinematic
Yes.
came on, I
was
ran
like,
before
oh my
I even
God.
knew I was supposed to.
Oh yeah, I definitely.
I was like, what the hell? I was like, it scared me. It
I will
really
say
did.
that
I
was
like,
probably the only time I've ever watched something to where I'm just like, collateral damage is a necessity. As Trilla was dying, I would have been halfway to my shit.
right,
Like,
right.
As she's saying goodbye, I wouldn't have seen it. My back would have been to her. I would have.
All I would have
running.
heard was avenge, and I would have been gone.
Like, I don't fucking know what she said.
No,
What were her
it's
last words?
terrifying.
I don't know. Ouch. I don't know what the fuck she said. I was gone.
Oh no, I think she said.
Like when I felt Vader, I left. I wouldn't have let it get to that. Shit, I would have sacrificed her master too. Shit, hey, do me a favor, fight him. Like, where'd you park the ship? All right, yeah, fight him real quick. But yeah, I think it's definitely overdue. We're all fans of Cal Kestis or Cameron Monaghan or both, right? So to me, I think this is very apropos. And like I said, we trust where it came from, which is Christian Harlow. He is definitely a friend of GVN's. We've interviewed him a bunch of times. So if he's coming out here with it, I believe at Disney, the Disney Investors Day, where they're talking about the new shows that are coming out, I believe this will be announced by Kathleen Kennedy. So that'll be really fun to see what those next wave of things to be announced by Kathleen.
Lando.
Well, she said it already. Once
know.
Once Glover buckles down, it's
No.
his.
Just
You
want
know?
more info. Where
Please
the
have-
story is headed.
Please
I
have the
will-
Night Sister and
What are they putting Glover through in
in
this
this
show?
movie, show, whatever.
I will say this though: there are two things that have become very consistent: Blake in the need for that Lando series, and Trayvon and his need for Static Shock. Those two things are the two things I hear that you two seem to have little to no patience for waiting for when it comes to
They
information.
announced it
You
like
want
I
it
mean,
now.
to be
Years
fair,
ago.
to be fair, I was the
Trayvon
same
said
exact way before
they announced
Kenobi.
Static Shock 2 years ago. You
No,
guys are the same
Ridiculous.
exact person.
That's ridiculous.
Well, for Blake, at
No,
least
I was literally like
Atlanta's
that with
done
Kenobi for
filming.
the longest time. I was like, I need something.
There was rumors recently
I
about
was not
Static.
patient.
Really?
Yeah, there were rumors recently about that.
Just,
But again, we were under the impression that Static would just be announced, or not announced, but expanded upon during fandom. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's not said there, then it's like, well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
Do you think
see.
there's gonna be another one this year?
there will be one every year.
Yeah.
To me,
We hope.
to me, if I'm Warner, if I don't do it, that means I'm doing a convention specifically just
It
for DC.
better
With
be
Discovery.
better than
If
last
Discovery
year.
wants it
If they do it again.
this time.
Again, Trayvon, they're merged. They're merged. You
Yeah,
keep
but
saying
Discovery is
it.
taking the power. Discovery's taking over.
But they're one now, though.
They're one. You keep saying it like they're two separate entities.
Yeah.
They're
Warner Bros.
one.
ain't got no power no more.
Trayvon, because they're one. One side doesn't have power over the
I'm
other.
saying Discovery people coming in like, cancel this, cancel that, stop this, stop that.
Because they're in charge of Warner Brothers now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
One
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
So they
alright.
control if fandom happens or not.
Yeah,
that's what
but
saying.
I'm saying to me,
It should.
that's
but
been nothing but a success. So if they stop it, it would be to do like what Disney does for D23, right? So where you make it an exclusive event that people can go to. They're not going to revert back to San Diego Comic-Con. That's not going to happen.
yeah,
Doesn't
that,
seem
yeah.
likely.
It's not
Okay.
going to happen. Because to me, that just brings on more money and more eyes. Is if we can go to a convention that's just DC, right? But all right, I want to thank Sarah, Sabrina, Joelle, Trayvon, Darth Didge, and Blake for joining me on this series finale of Kenobi. Again, that could change because we know they fucked up on Moon Knight. They said season on one and series on the other.
Yeah.
They still haven't
is
clarified
true.
that shit.
Don't even start with me.
What
So-
personality? What do you expect?
right, exactly. You know
Right.
what? Mark was handling one. But no, we'll definitely get some more information, whether it's on the Investors Day, D23, whatever the case may be. We will get more information. Look, the majority vote is that this Kenobi series was a success, right? Regardless of the people that didn't like it, didn't like elements of it, don't need to see it continue. The general consensus is that people loved it. Love Kenobi, love Vader. So to me, I expect them to cut off pieces of this series and expand in different areas, whether it's Vader, Reva, or Kenobi. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I'm gonna be honest with you. It sounds boring. I'd be down for a Leia series. Like, What did she go through in the next 5 years? I don't need the next 10. We know the 10. Just in the next 5 years. Let's see that progression, right? Because I feel as though Leia's story is always like back burner. We're always like Luke. She's just like, well, I exist and I know the Force. Like, like fuck me, right? No, okay. So I would love to see a little bit more about Leia, and she's done an amazing job. I would like to see her age into the role, right? Like slowly age up in it, right? Because we know the 20-year-old Leia, right? So I would like to see it go from 10 to 15, and then I don't need to see the 15 to 20. We can assume that, but that 10 to 15 would be really interesting for sure. But again, I want to thank Jayla for putting together our intro. Beautiful intro, beautiful background. Jayla's setting us up for the whole setup here. Again, a shout out to Jayla. And we will convene again for Star Wars for Andor. Andor is the next time we'll be together to do Galactic review. All right, so it'll be a little bit of a wait. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully the Andor series is worth it. That's all I can say.
August, right?
Yeah, towards the end of August. Yeah.
Okay.
And
2
then
months.
Bad Batch is September.
Right.
Yeah, Bad Batch is September. So we'll have a lot of content once we get out of July, heading into August, September, October. It'll just hit us like a ton of bricks. But all right, guys, we appreciate you in the comments. You guys are awesome. We really, truly appreciate it. Oh, wait, Joe did say something. Hold on. Guys, just for the record, I knew Bail was present at the end of Revenge of the Sith and wanted Leia specifically. My only confusion lied in a line of dialogue in the hologram message.
We understood at the end.
Yeah, we understood what you meant. But all right, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, peace, and may the Force